Okay, so the first thing that you're gonna do, and this is reminiscent to any citrus cake that you are ever gonna make. It doesn't matter if it's lemon, lime, key lime, orange, whatever the case is, always try to start off with your sugar and that zest first. That's what you're gonna use first, is the sugar and the zest. So in my mixing bowl, I have 4 cups of super fine sugar. If you don't have super fine sugar, that's fine. Use regular granulated. It's going to come out the same. 4 cups of sugar. Okay. My sugar is set for a minute. Okay. And then I have my 3 tablespoons of orange zest. Now, if you are using lemon, same rules apply. If you're using lime, same rules apply. And the reason why I do it this way is it's going to magnify the flavor of this cake 10 times more. Like I really want this sugar to turn into orange sugar for the most part, and it will, from the oils. So you let this mix in your mixer until the sugar turns orange. I want to show you guys the proper way to zest your fruit. So you have a zester or what's called a microplane. You want to just, this is the easiest way. This is the easiest way to zest. And you just want to lightly rub it. I don't want any of this white, and that's called pith. I don't want any of that in my cake because that's very bitter. Okay? Remember, we started off with beautiful white sugar. And now, because we've added that orange zest to it, we have this beautiful orange sugar now. Beautiful orange sugar. Nice, wet, kind of sandy. That's exactly what you want. And this is going to be the color of the inside of the cake. Okay? Now that we have our sugar going, now it's time to add 4 sticks of butter. So in here, we have 4 cups of sugar. About 3.5 tablespoons of orange zest. And now we're going to add 4 sticks of butter, which equals out to 2 cups. Okay. And your butter should be room temperature, not melted. Room temperature, not melted. All right. So we want to turn this up, and we're going to let this go for about 4 to 5 minutes. I really want this whipped really nice and fluffy. This is where your cake starts to take form in the airy department. We are whipping air into our, we really want to make sure that this cream, because we're whipping air into it. You want to make sure that this is light and fluffy, because this has a lot to do with whether or not your cake is going to be light and fluffy or dense. And because our butter was nice, light and fluffy, I want to show y'all, it didn't take long at all. Because our butter was at room temperature, I'm sorry, it didn't take long to whip it. So here, can y'all see that? Nice and fluffy. You want it nice and airy. And I would even beg to go just a couple of more minutes. Butter is whipping. I'm going to go ahead and crack my 10 eggs. For this recipe, I modified a recipe that I already had. And when you are doing recipes on a daily basis, you learn to take what you have and try different things out to see if they'll work. Baking is a science, and you know, sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. But I can tell you that this definitely works. This recipe is a really good one. You get a beautiful light cake. And I absolutely like the way that the cake looks and tastes. Coconut and orange, it speaks tropical to me, right? It says tropical. I'm going to take my fork and I'm going to go ahead and start whisking. It's okay if my butter and my sugar is still going. Make sure that they're nice and blended. And I'm also going to go ahead and add 1 teaspoon of coconut flavor. You can add coconut flavor. Now I'm also going to add a little bit of coconut to this cake. But if you don't want to add the coconut to the cake, the coconut got to get in there somehow, right? But I don't mind coconut. A lot of people don't like the little flakes of coconut. Now, when it comes to mixing your egg and this creamed butter and sugar, this is where the mixer is going to start and stop a lot. Go slow. I add half, about half. I let it look like scrambled eggs a little bit, and then I stop and I scrape my bowl. This way I know that all that sugar at the bottom is getting mixed in, and I'm loosening it all up. If you want to take your paddle off, you definitely can. If you're using a hand mixer, this process is going to be a little different for you. Actually, it might go a little faster. Okay. Mix it up until it's incorporated. Now, add the last half. And this prevents us from over mixing. The rest of this, we're going to go ahead and let it go ahead and mix fully. By this time, it should look kind of like a little like scrambled eggs with cheese, to be exact. Okay. Now that we have our wet done, we're going to work on our dry. Normally, I do not like to sift, but for this particular cake, I think that it's very important that the cake is light and fluffy, and I want to impart as much air in it as I possibly can. My measuring cup, add a couple scoops of my flour and all my salt, my baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of baking powder, okay? And I'm also using 4 cups of 4 cups of cake flour. Now that we have our dry, we're going to set that aside, and we also need some orange juice. It's an orange cake, y'all. Definitely an orange cake. And you need 1/4 cup of orange juice. And I'm going to go through all of the ingredients all over again once we get it all mixed. So we're bringing our butter and our egg and our zest mixture back in the picture. Anytime you are adding liquid and flour, you always want to rotate, starting off with flour and ending with flour. Oh my God. Motion detected at the front door. All right, so we're going to add this in thirds, okay? And again, this is a very large batter. And you really do not want to overmix this, so we're going to start it off on slow, okay? Pulsing it so that it don't go over. And I like for it to go just a couple of rounds until I see it about to be fully mixed. Then I stop it, and of course, we scrape it down. It is so important for you to take the time to scrape down through these steps where I'm doing it at, because you don't want sugar to float to the top of your cake, and you don't want balls of flour in your cake either. Okay, so the next we're going to add some liquid now that my flour is all incorporated. And here we are with our OJ, orange juice. Okay. Okay. Oh. Okay. Anybody got any questions? Oh, you. No, last question. Scraping that bottom, making sure there's no sugar, none of that. All right, this is ready. Very good. All right. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I always go old school. Like I told you, this is a very big cake. It's going to rise really nicely, very, very high. So I use this pan. It's one of my bigger bundt pans. This has to be at least 8 or 9, maybe 10 cups of batter. So it's not a small cake by any means, okay? So keep that in mind. Now I'm gonna show you what a half of the batter looks like and what size of a cake that is, because I made that for our family to try this cake. A half batter is probably more, if you like cake, I mean, I always leave just a little bit of flour, loose flour, in my pan to ensure that that bad boy is gonna come out. Okay, one more mix because it's set a little bit. And we just go in, pour. If you want to add a filling or something in the middle, half and half. This is such a pretty batter. It's so pretty. So this goes into the oven at 325 degrees. Let's go over the ingredients one more time for those of you who may be writing it down. We have 2 cups. Let's start with the sugar. We have 4 cups of sugar, 3 or 2.5 tablespoons of orange zest. It goes into the mixer. Mix until that mixture turns a beautiful color of orange. Then you're going to add 2 cups of butter. You're going to mix that until it's light and fluffy. Should look cloudy, very fluffy, okay? Make sure that your butter is not frozen, but it wants to be at room temperature where you could push your finger into it and it not just all over the place, okay? After that, you are going to sift together 4 cups of cake flour, a half a teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Sift that together, set it aside. You're gonna need the juice of 2 oranges, 2 small oranges, and you need about 1/4 cup of orange juice. You're gonna mix, rotating in thirds, flour. Start with flour, end with flour, okay? Make sure that you scrape your bowl in between the adds of the flour, okay? Put it into your cake pan, and then you're gonna put it into a 325 degree oven for about an hour and 15 to 20 minutes. Now, you guys know y'all ovens. We all have a special relationship with our ovens, and we all know that each oven is a little different. So what you wanna do is watch your cake after about 45 minutes. Again, this is a very big batter, so it's gonna take it some time, but do not open your oven until after 45 minutes, okay? So my oven is already heating. My cake is gonna go in. So like I told you guys earlier, bam, here we are. We made, or I made, because we didn't do it. I made a cake already, and of course I couldn't wait. I really wanted to see the inside. So this is a cake in a half of a batter. All right, so me, y'all, if y'all ever have me cut a cake, I cut the biggest pieces of cake ever. No reason. No, it is a reason. If you want a piece of cake. Why do people cut pound cake like this?
I don't want a piece of cornbread.
Why do people cut pound cake this big?
Because
that's being greedy. You're just trying to save the rest of that for yourself. Get out of here. But let's talk about this cake. Look how pretty that cake is. Yes, it is. Not your average southern sized chick. That is me.
Don't be scared.
That is me. There she is in all her, look at her. This woman is saying, try it. I want you to. Y'all better learn. That's what she's saying. Y'all better learn. Okay. Yes. Oh, okay. Take it down. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yes, that is my cookbook, and it is still available on chefdorian.com. If you have not gotten your copy, oh, here you go. Here you go. Oh, I was for the camera. I was like, okay, here. You want another piece? That's good. I'm glad you like it. Orange is not something we do a lot here, y'all. So anytime you guys see me on here, or on Facebook, or on Instagram making something, especially a cake, please send me pictures if you choose to make these cakes, because we are making a collage, and then at the end of the year, we take all of those pictures and we use them for our social media. We absolutely, I personally love when I see you guys making these recipes, because it lets me know that I'm not doing it in vain. So please, please, please. I know a couple of you have already done that, and it is absolutely amazing to me. If you have any issue, any problems, Chef Dorian, I'm lost, I don't know if this is right, hit me up. I answer, because I think it's very important for everybody to be a success in the kitchen.